Hey everyone, welcome to Mr. Holland Reviews, where I'm going to be reviewing Panda Bear, What Do You See? Now, of course, this is a Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle book, and it's one of many like this. And so we often get into the pattern of, oh, well, we sing this rhythm of the words the same way, and I do this all the time. Even when I read the title, Panda Bear, what do you see? I get into the pattern of the rhythm of the words as they flow together. Now, even though this looks like the brown bear, what do you see? It's very different. And it actually notes at it in the beginning of this book on this title page. If you look over here in the small words, it says a note on endangered species. It talks a little bit about endangered species. And if you don't know what an endangered species is, that just means that these types of animals are endangered. Well, you hear danger in the word, and danger, of course, means that there's a problem, there's trouble. So, endangered means that they're in a troubled situation. And so, if we look at a panda bear as an endangered species, that means that they're endangered of going away, where there's less and less panda bears out there. You might think of like animals like squirrels, and you see squirrels all the time. Well, they're not endangered. They're all over the place. They're still existing, but there are some animals that exist that are endangered, which means that there are becoming less and less of them. And if we don't do something to protect them, that they might go away forever and become extinct. So Bill Martin Jr. really wanted to dedicate to this book those types of animals that we don't see too much of anymore. And you might even go through this book and think, I've never heard of this animal before. I've never heard of a red wolf, and I've never heard of a spider monkey. I didn't know a monkey and a spider can be the same. These are kind of interesting animals, and again, they're interesting to us because we don't see them all the time. We look at a squirrel, we don't think it's very interesting because it's so common. We see it all the time, but animals like panda bears or even a water buffalo. We know what a buffalo is, but a water buffalo is different. It's related, but it's different. And if it's in danger, that means we won't see a lot of them. So as you go through this book, that's what we're looking at. If you look at a sea lion, now I personally didn't know that sea lions were endangered, and that's because in coastal areas in America, we see sea lions. But maybe if you look at the whole world, there's not really as many as you would think. So that's just something to think about. Um, One of the other things that I was thinking about when I was reading this book is, and I was comparing it to Brown Bear, What Do You See? And in that book, what the brown bear, well, what we were seeing, really the children, what they were seeing was animals that were a certain color. So a brown bear, a white dog, a purple cat. So when they were seeing those animals, they were kind of describing what they saw. They saw the animal and what color the animal was. In this book, it's not really what do you see as far as the animal. Like we didn't see a black water buffalo. We saw a water buffalo doing something. We saw the action. So the bald eagle says, I see a water buffalo charging by me. So not saying I see a black water buffalo looking at me. There is an action describing what these animals do. So charging by me is what a water buffalo charges. The water buffalo saw a spider monkey swinging by him. So we're starting to get familiar with actions. So maybe if you're reading this with your class, or maybe it's even with your brothers or sisters, maybe you can demonstrate with your own body what these animals' movements look like. What I said, I see a red wolf sneaking by me. Well, what does that look like? I think of sneaking, I think of like kind of hiding and being concealed or behind something. If you look at the red wolf, he's got his head down and he's kind of looking ahead, trying to keep a low profile. And he sees a whooping crane flying by him. So what does flying look like? So these are just interesting things that I was thinking about when I was reading the book, because if you look at the page doesn't move like it's on a TV or on YouTube, but it's a still picture, so you have to imagine what the flying looks like, and you can demonstrate that with your own body. So those are just some things that I really took away. Um, and when I read this book and I read about Black Panther, now we know about the movie Black Panther, and he's a superhero and things like that, but Black Panthers, are they endangered species? Like, I hope that there's something that we can do for these animals, but I couldn't help myself reading the Black Panther and trying to sound like the Black Panther who says, I see a dreaming child watching over me, just like in Wakanda. And trying to, again, put voices to these animals or what I think that might sound like. Now, maybe the Black Panther sounds like a character like Bagheera in the Jungle Book. Or, and maybe the Red Wolf, looking with his head down and looking kind of mean. You change the voice a little bit. So I encourage you guys too, when you're reading books and there's different characters in them, even though it's just, a very short book and there's different animals, I want you to try to sound like, what do you think these animals would sound like if they could really talk? And that's where you get a lot of movies with animals that talk in them. They have to imagine what these animals would talk like. But that's just my opinion and my take on this book. I love these kinds of books. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. But until next time, I will see you all later. Bye, everyone.